Hello, good afternoon, folks. It's February 20, and we say welcome to Journalits Hangout on TVC. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein, and today on the program, Governor Oyetola wins Osun APC governorship primaries with audacious margin. Africa Union report says, despite insecurity, Nigeria has made tremendous progress in infrastructure, agriculture, revolution, and others. Later on the show, Weekend Special will focus on the National Youth Service Corps Trust Fund, NYSC TF bill, which passed second reading in the House of Representatives. I'm hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, BKO. Jide, I greet you.
Good afternoon, Citizen Jones.
And we also have Adekunle Yusuf. Adekunle, greetings to you. You're smiling.
Yes, I'm smiling.
Just won a jackpot or something?
No, I'm just happy.
Okay, you are just happy?
Yes, I'm happy.
Take that from him. And so the team is ready. I hope you are. All right, let's go. You know, we begin with the economy. Our over-reliance on petroleum means any imbalance in the sector will have ripple effect on every aspect of the economy. The prolonged shortage of petrol is taking a severe toll on the economy and already disrupting operations in many sectors. A fallout of this is high transportation fares. Others include rising costs of production and prices of goods in most cities like Lagos and Abuja. This situation needs to be salvaged, and fast. Don't you think so?
Yes, because our people are going through a lot. I know that the efforts are being made to bring in 1.5 million liters of methanol-free PMS.
At least for once.
Yes, but we all know that due to logistic issues, even if we begin to see some easing of the problem in Lagos, it will take a while before the entire country begins to heave a sigh of relief. Because it's just going to take a while. We still truck petroleum products across our country. We have since stopped sending petroleum products to our urban centers through the pipelines because of rampant vandalism. So we have to rely on the trucks to move petroleum products from Lagos to all parts of our country. And given the state of our roads, you and I know that these trucks take their time.
That's it.
Yes. So this week, we may not see an end to this problem, despite the fact that NNPC officials have assured us that, look, by this week, this whole thing will end. I do not envisage that that will happen this week. For a lot of our people based outside Lagos, is a lot worse. In Abuja, we read that some people were buying petrol for as high as 450 naira a liter. You know, and people are sleeping in filling stations. People are sleeping
even in parts of Lagos to as high as 200, 250.
Yes, and this is actually the center of gravity of petroleum product distribution. So if it's this bad in Lagos, the extent of the suffering can only be imagined, you know, across our country. We've had this problem. I just hope that this sort of thing won't happen again. And one way to ensure that it doesn't happen again is for us to ensure that those who visited this pain on our people are punished, and punished severely.
Jide, I'm wondering how happy Adekunle Yusuf would still be after this issue on ground.
When it comes to fuel scarcity, that's not why I'm happy, because it's a crisis that's still affecting everybody. I drove around the metropolis, and you know, today is actually I always see today as the best day to move around in Lagos because you have less of traffic chaos and all that. But in spite of that, virtually, many of the petrol filling stations are not attending to people because they didn't have, fuel supply. And the few ones that are attending to people, you can see the queues spiraling all over the roads, everywhere. And you see, it has brought about, the hoodlums we thought we are taking care of. You see them carrying jerry cans, selling, and all. So many of them now know how to penetrate, the petrol attendants. They buy
and they get fuel.
Yes,
but you cannot.
Yeah, in fact, there's one thing that I noticed. You just realize that petrol attendants that used to be cautious and respectful, they've now become like area boys again because everybody is
extra naira don't enter them
because they actually don't want you to buy if you have a car. They want the jerry can person to come in because first of all you pay for that. You get my point? So because of this, this hardship has been so severe in the sense that, do you know that prices of food items have skyrocketed, transportation, fares, especially in a place like Lagos. And you cannot blame the Okada rider, the Danfo driver, the whatever, because many of them cannot even move out their vehicles because they don't have fuel. So the few ones who have, they have to recoup their investment because when they buy fuel at exorbitant prices, either through these hoodlums I was talking about or through the normal channel, whatever, they are buying at higher prices.
Kunle, JD is talking about punishing offenders and really saying that they are punished.
Believe me, today up to now, I'm still surprised that what has happened to governance in Nigeria. We devalued it to the extent that there is no even punishment for infractions, for dereliction of duty, for failure. Because this is one thing that should have been avoided. I was with the group of public analysts of Nigeria, those who are laboratory experts, they are virtually in every sector, and their president, a professor, said Nigeria will continue to have this kind of crisis because we don't patronize the local professionals. That, do you know how Nigeria discovered that the fuel contained the
methanol? That
they look at the color and it was already something that was not supposed to have entered into our system at all. If we are doing the right thing. Now, for not doing the right thing, those who are enjoying their offices, many of them should have been facing suspension or answering charges. But you see now, those who should be answering charges,
is it because they are untouchables or
not? No, it's just because of, you see, some people try to look at the nature of whoever is in charge. So when they realize that maybe somebody who is, you know that some presidents will not even tolerate this, the heads will have rolled. You get my point?
Regardless.
Whatever that you will pay for it, whether you overdid it or whatever, it wouldn't matter. It won't matter. But I'm not happy that till now you see NNPC, you see all of them, the way they are talking, I feel that.
And just the other day we talked about Mr. President ordering the NNPC to go after whoever the offender is and punishing the offender. And of course, we wondered if Mr. President's threat would be.
I don't. The people. The people we should punish are in the NNPC. The people we should punish are in SON, Standard Organization of Nigeria. The people we should punish are in DPR. DPR, at least, is part of the NNPC. That is, if we put the Petroleum Industry Act aside, that's always been part of that unit known as the NNPC. So, whom are you punishing? All of these three agencies that I spoke about have their testing parameters. They have their quality control structures in place. And this petrol that they brought into our country failed across all parameters of testing. whether it is oxidation level that you are looking at, whether it is the methanol level that you are looking at. It's not a crime for methanol to be in petrol. It is the level of it. This one was said to contain 20%, whereas the acceptable level is 2.3%.
That's what
No, for Nigeria, it's even zero. When they brought this thing from NSO, I mean, Nigerian Standard Organization, for Nigeria, it is zero.
Methanol.
Yes. And do you know, this thing happened during Abacha. This is not the first time. Yeah. And when it happened, you see, when you have
Abacha's petrol was not this color.
By our record,
it was smelling.
It was smelling.
It was smelling, but it wasn't this brown.
It happened at that time, and that time when Obasanjo, became president, he actually wanted this thing that they said if our petrol has methanol, the prices will come down and all that. There were meetings because we actually wanted to do it. Why? They realized that many of the things we can source locally. At the end of the day, experts said, okay, it's a good thing, but we didn't have the transport infrastructure. I mean, the piping, the whatever, that what we have cannot do it. Then storage facilities we don't have. Yeah. So because of that, that thing was, that thing didn't see the light of the day. But this one certainly is not meant for our country. In some countries, because there are specifications from country to country.
You think this was going?
No, this one wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it's bad for us. What you eat may not be what I eat.
That's it.
Every country
is already damaging people's cars.
Because that's not our own. That's not what our system is designed for. In some countries, they have ethanol. They have this as high as 60%.
It is the acceptable level is what we are talking about.
In our case, it shouldn't contain it at all.
If it contains it and it does not exceed the tolerable level, there won't be problem.
Maybe.
Yes,
because what we are seeing.
I spoke with someone in DPR. This is what he told me.
What we are seeing in the footage.
This one you saw was from a depot. This particular one. So there is no reason for petrol to be this brown. You can see some. It look like even the earth. Look like the color of sand.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
Yes. Yeah.
See, when look, how can petrol be this?
Look
one of the criteria put in place by DPR is that it has to be bright. That it has to be bright. It has to be clean and bright. In that case, this one did not meet
at all.
What strikes me is
why do you have structures in place for quality control if it can easily be bypassed? Now you are saying, okay, the other vessels coming from the same supplier, you have rejected them.
That's it.
What of the one that are already in?
You have rejected until we, because these ones now have this particular petrol has created a supply gap that we must meet. Some of the marketers have yet to be restocked after they quarantined this one. They still have it in their premises. They are saying don't use, but you are yet to restock them.
Who pays for all that?
They are yet to tell us. But you know that I do not even imagine that the marketer, because they are talking about 300 million liters.
Liters, yeah.
I don't think that a marketer, if we were to say, okay, we find you, you are going to pay for that. I don't think a marketer can survive paying for all of this.
According to product analysts, they said this, when it happens anywhere, the international best practice is that the supplier will withdraw this and replace at our own cost.
Yeah.
But they have already distributed it around the country.
That's usually the punishment, because you know our specification. But Nigeria is the one that is embarrassing itself. They say they are refining it, they are refining it. Let
the debate continue, but we sure know there should be no other time. We can't afford it, because we can't. To our next story, despite expansion in infrastructure and other innovations, traffic congestion continues to plague Lagos, Nigeria's economic hub. Now the Lagos State Parking Authority, LASPA, is calling for support from residents in its quest to regulate illegal parking and deliver a world-class scheme for citizens. Now, the general manager of the agency, Adegboyega, noted that illegal parking impedes free flow of traffic and constitutes an economic and environmental hazard. Adekunle, this goes without saying. Parking in Lagos.
Yes, it's a big deal, and you know the plan. When you look at how Lagos was originally designed, the volume of population now, and despite a lot of progress recorded in road expansion, road reconstruction, and everything, but you still see that parking is still an issue, especially now the issue we just discussed.
Yeah,
little crisis of fuel scarcity. You see vehicles parking all over the place, and everywhere is locked down.
Queues spilling into the expressways.
Because the space are hardly enough. It's hardly enough.
That's it.
So now when you now have extra crisis, it becomes more chaotic. And it's so sad because the state is doing a lot, in this regard. And you see everywhere that a lot of, reconstruction, a lot of new roads, but it's still a work in progress. We still have to continue.
Jide, we can't take anything from government. Government will always try its best, yes. Except that many times it's that best may not be good enough.
Yes, the demand for parking spaces, especially in Lagos, has clearly outstripped what's available. So what we expect to see is that in the coming years, when the private sector can get involved in building parking lots, building parking lots of several floors, for example,
yeah,
where people can park their cars, and then when they've closed for the day, they can then go there. You see people trying to improvise, make the most of the situation on Lagos Island, for example, where there is such a big problem. The other day, I visited Zone 2 Police Command. I struggled to find a space where I could park. Yet, the policemen won't allow you to park inside their premises. But they had the parking lot close to the place where you pay. You pay to park your car there.
Okay.
But because of other people, so many other people who needed to visit the place and places around it, I struggled to find a place where to even squeeze my car. So, and that's the way it is all over the state. People have now created illegal parks of their, legal parking lots of their own, sometimes impeding, even area boys will come give you a place to park.
Local government.
Local, if you go, there are some markets, you just see boys, they will come, they will take 200 naira from you and say park there. Yet, in parking your car, you impede traffic, you disrupt free flow of traffic and all that. So, the government is now saying, please assist us, because by March 1, we want to begin to enforce the law against illegal parking, because we can see the damage that illegal parking is doing to everyone. So this is the thing. I expect that, because on the island, if you invest in those parking lots of several floors, I don't think you are going to lose money.
Yeah,
I don't think.
I know a church in
Look at this hotel, Eco Hotel. Before they built that parking lot, it used to be tough finding somewhere to park within the hotel premises. You will struggle. You could be moving around.
Looking for a space.
But yes, looking for one small space. Yet they are going to take money from you. But today, at least they have a very big parking lot that the construction people can park. Look at Pastor Bakari's church. You know, that church, one of the beautiful things they've done about that church, because it also has an event center, it's not simply a church, is the multiple floors, you know, of a parking lot that the man put there. You will not see vehicles outside of the premises because they have parking lot, and the different floors has its own. If your event is taking place on a particular floor, there's a parking lot.
X number of
there's a parking lot for you, for those using that particular hall. So it makes it life easier for everyone.
For a fee.
No, although those ones, because you're already patronizing the place, you don't need to pay. You know. But I still believe that if some investors will find money and build those parking lots in some parts of Lagos Island, they're going to recoup their investment.
I know a church somewhere in Bariga that has 5 parking lots, 5 floors under.
Deep
One
into
of the, oh yeah. From
that's the way it is in advanced countries, South Africa. You will not see a car in front of an hotel.
Jide, my country is advanced. You heard me.
That's allegedly.
So again, laws. Lagos has relevant laws for relevant problems, but my problem remains enforcing those laws.
Yes.
Say a law against riding or driving against traffic.
I think the state government is just being lenient. You realizing that
the word is leniency.
Yes, because realizing that you have to create space before you start. If there are no alternatives, where will people park? In Lagos Island, I think the last administration in Lagos did 1 or 2 things, and you see, because the problem was more chaotic in Lagos Island than anywhere else in Lagos. Yes, it used to, but now it has reduced a lot. In Lagos Island, if you know how to maneuver your way, there are parking lots here and there.
Parking lots.
And there are even big ones there, and some are still coming up. In Lagos Island, you can always find your level. But outside Lagos Island, we don't have as many in other places that you can also say, oh, these are more or less like business areas. You see a lot of vehicular movements and all that. So if the Lagos State government is saying it's just trying to just show being lenient, that's the way I look at it. But now they said they want to start enforcing the law, then everybody will have to comply, because go to places like Mushin, you don't believe what you will see. You see hoodlums, area boys, they are the ones in charge.
By law?
Not by law. Where some, they will say they are the task force set up by the state government, and roads, beautiful roads built by the Lagos state government, that's where they park their own people and they collect money.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, a road that is built wide will become narrow, that won't even contain 2 cars. You get my point? So sanity has to return to, it has to be restored, and it's only government that can do it.
Okay.
All right. We're supposed to take Labanji Omotosho on Zoom. Is he really ready to join us?
Yes,
Labanji, I greet you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How do you do?
How are you?
I'm fine.
I'm okay. How do you do that?
Yeah, speak up a little. We are talking about parking and peculiar problems in Lagos.
Yes. Actually, good afternoon, gentlemen. You see, parking has been a big problem to Lagos State traffic, and it has caused a lot of damage. So you can see all along on all the routes, from towns, you use parking as a daily work in such a way that they park inappropriately, and this has caused the state, a lot of congestion, leading to downtime, and eventually loss of economic values. So the state government actually looked at this and decided to establish agency in line with this administration's theme, moving the state government to 21st century economy, which education and traffic management skill established and made. Have a look at these things.
Yeah.
What are the problems that you face currently? You have requested that Lagosians to support the parking authority, and that
What are the peculiar
problems you face currently?
Yeah.
Of course, there are challenges. Firstly, we've been urging the public to cooperate and collaborate with in of the questions, and this when done, you see the results that the road, the people of traffic, and spend less time on the road. The problem, majorly, is for private vehicles, some believe that they can park anywhere, start discussing with each other. The commercial vehicles, they just park anywhere, pick or pick their passengers. So we are here to ensure that this kind of thing becomes.
Mr. Motosho, but there are sanctions. Don't you have sanctions for these things?
Of course, there are sanctions. When there are regulations, so if there are regulations, there will be violations and fines. So at this stage, we are actually, sensitizing the public about our, and after that, we will roll out, punitive those who refuse.
Okay. Now, does your mandate cover the motor parks? Because I read that you were asking park owners to come and register and all that. Does your
actually we want to build? Firstly, we want to build. We leave the park first. Now, we are actually telling people to come and register so that we can actually pilot drivers to where. We want to know how many parks are in Lagos, and then if we register very small, we can also look at drivers where you are from our apps, where you are. This is the place to go and park. Instead of you looking around, looking for parks which can be successful sometimes. That is why we ask them to.
Because the NURTW makes a fortune from those motor parks. People are convinced that some of this money should actually be going to the coffers of government.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, when we look at the commercial vehicles, you will see that they are supposed to be inside garages, parks and garages, part of our money. Now, but we find them on the road. Taking passengers, and this thing has a very strong negative aspect of traffic. Immediately, the traffic, the complications, and so on and so forth. We intend to do that. All the private have to go back. But there are no garages, we enjoying the NGO.
Yeah.
If one, after all, they are the one collecting, some money for them every day. Why can't they buy properties and turn it into garage?
Yeah.
Staying on the road. So I think we will, when we get to that stage.
Mr. Omotosho, are you really ready for the March 1st date for takeoff? You know.
Yes. You can see that the authority was established, last year, and we've been doing a lot of foundational issues so that we can just jump on the road and start picking people because they didn't have one. So very careful. This is a mandate that needs careful plan. We will sensitize people, tell them what to do. Go on TV, we go on radio, we have pamphlets. Then tell them exactly what to do. Meetings with them virtually, and then try to resolve this. Then within a short time, we launch and start enforcement.
Now, from the sensitization that people are carrying out, does it seem to you like these drivers are going to comply with your directive, or they will probably need the carrot and stick approach?
Of course, they will comply, and any of them that doesn't comply, you do need the proper punitive measure.
Okay. I would like to find out from you. When you look at many streets in Lagos, you see cases of abandoned vehicles. Does the mandate also cover that?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. All right.
But there's a Lagos State established an abandoned vehicle and carrying out their jobs.
Okay. We wish you well in your mandate, and of course, here's hoping that everybody will obey the law of the land. Thank you very much. Labanji Omotosho is the head of operations of the Lagos State Parking Authority. All right, to our next story. The great Chinese general Sun Tzu once said in his famous book, The Art of War, that the greatest victory requires no battle. Otherwise, the greatest victory is winning the war without shooting a bullet. So it seems in the war of attrition between Osun State Governor Adegboyega Oyetola and his estranged predecessor, Rauf Aregbesola, the Minister of the Interior, Governor Oyetola won Saturday's governorship primaries of the All Progressive Congress, APC, with an audacious margin, we dare say. Chairman of the Governorship Primary Committee and Kwara State Governor Abdul Rahman Abdul Razak announced Oyetola as winner, having garnered 222,169 votes against his closest challenger, Moshood Adeoti, who got 12,000. He is the candidate of the minister. Now, the other challenger, Yusuf Lassun, got 460 votes to place third. Governor Oyetola won in all the 30 local government areas of the state. We'll share the story filed by TVC News. Is Rafiu Hamid. Please watch on.
It was a peaceful exercise in all the 332 wards across the state. Direct primary mode was adopted and members queued behind their preferred candidates at various polling units. From Ward 1 to 9 in Osogbo local government, party faithful trooped out to vote for candidates of their choice. The Senate spokesperson also voted at Ward 7 in Osogbo.
The process is peaceful, and you can see the atmosphere of conviviality and the joy of the party members, and that is the beauty of direct primary, that people coming around to come and own the party and express their preference.
Turnout is very, very great, and the people are anxious to actually come out, to come and exercise their rights. I think this is a good pointer for us, for the democracy in the state of Osun and in Nigeria in general.
In Aregbesola, the governor, Adegboyega, arrived the ward alongside his wife into the waiting arms of members.
Direct primary is the best option because it allows participation by all the members of the party as opposed to the usual delegate system. The improvement is that people are getting used to it. It's rancor-free.
Everyone here is peaceful and conducting this exercise in a very peaceful nature. For me, I'm very happy with what I'm seeing here today.
The situation is the same in Igbajo and Ire, and members commend the process.
If the party members have decided to choose a particular candidate out of the lot, then all the other contestants must, rally round.
The turnout was very, very impressive. That is to tell you that we have party, APC.
The party belongs to all of us. And if a candidate emerges after the process of primary, we should all rally around to support.
In Ilesha and Ife, the turnout is also encouraging.
And I believe that at the end of the day, the primary election will come out good.
After collation of results at the local government level, the final collation was done at the state secretariat of the APC, and local government returning officers presented their results. Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak announced the final result and declared Governor Adegboyega Oyetola as the winner. He won in all the local governments in the states.
Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, Chairman Primary Election Committee, hereby certified that Adegboyega Oyetola, having secured the highest number of votes cast in the Osun Governorship primary elections held on the 19th of February 2022 and met all the requirements as contained in the guidelines for the election is hereby declared winner.
It was jubilation after the declaration of the winner.
This is not a time to engage in any form of acrimony. The reality is that party members across the 302 wards have spoken very loudly that Governor Oyetola should continue in the matter of leadership of the state.
It's a turning point into the July 16th election. I expected all of us to come back to base, review, re-strategize, and bring ourselves together such that we can work together for the coming governorship election in the state.
In his acceptance speech, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola thanked members for their support and promised to consolidate on the achievements already recorded if given another opportunity of 4 years.
For me, we're all winners. I therefore extend my hand of fellowship to the other aspirants to join me as we prepare for the July election. We are brothers. Let us join hands to build the Osun of our dream. Let us close ranks and eschew bitterness in whatever form. Therefore, may I use this opportunity to also ask our aggrieved members to have a rethink and join hands with us to further strengthen our party and deliver outstanding results at the gubernatorial polls.
It calls on other aspirants to join hands in winning July 16 governorship election. It is the second time direct primary mode will be used to elect the governorship candidate of the party in the state. Rauf Hamid, TVC News, Osogbo.
Thank you, Hamid. Thank you very kindly. Meanwhile, the outcome of the Osun State governorship primaries will conform with the verdict of Babajide here when we discuss the issue on Friday. We'll take you back there just so you appreciate what we are talking about.
From what we read in the media, the kind of support that the traditional rulers, the different party members and the rest have been talking about the governor, and you expect that these people are likely
there's this thinking.
There can only be one direction this thing will go. This election will be similar to the APC governorship primary election in Ekiti. It's just going to be similar because in this kind of situation, big individuals influence the pattern of voting, including at the council level of councillors, state level, wards and all that. Those structures are in the hands of the incumbent governor. There are 26 persons in the House of Assembly. APC has 23. 2 of the 23 are Aregbesola supporters.
Okay.
The rest are for the governor. Yes. You have the House of Reps, 6 House of Reps members, 2 senators, 1 for the incumbent governor, 1 supporting the former governor. That's Oyetola. You know, you have a place like Ikire, where the finance commissioner comes from, Patricia Ite, you know, the deputy governor is also from Ikire.
The same
you know?
Patricia?
Yes, and she's a supporter of Oyetola. You know how you're made, you know, popular and powerful female politician, you know. She's also from Ikire and supporting the governor. There can be only one direction that this victory, this pendulum of victory will swing.
Adekunle, you know, Jide is some kind of a prophet, in a manner of speaking. So it's gone that way. But what is striking for me is the fact that in the APC camp, no reference or references were made to what the Minister of the Interior said. It was all mum. Keep them guessing.
Well, you saw what Jide said, that in this kind of election, it can only be one direction. Governors at every state level,
incumbent.
The government governors are in charge of the party. Those who are making reference to somebody, you know, experience, they didn't get it right. You need to have a person in the caliber of Asiwaju in any state that will do something similar. Okay. That's not in Osun. And I don't know of any state in Nigeria where you have that. You get my point? What happened under Ambode, during Ambode, can only happen in Lagos. It can't happen anywhere.
Nowhere.
So anybody that is in, it's not going to work. If I were here that day, I would say the same thing. That it is impossible. I didn't know why people I didn't even think about it, because it cannot, nothing can happen. Primary of state governors, Nigerian state governors are not what many people think. And here is a man who has been there 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, going to 4 years. Even if he was a stranger in the state before he became governor, he will have become one of them. You get my point? The entire party structure with him.
Otherwise, if you doubt, ask Aregbesola himself.
So those who are now saying, I don't think, I didn't expect anything different.
Okay.
I didn't expect anything. But I will go with, just as people are, I go with the message of the governor, because the victory is not here yet. This is just primary. I'm not expecting any upset. If they do it 10 times, whether they do direct primary or the indirect primary, the governor will pick the ticket. Normally, if not for little improvements in our politics, nobody will expect you to be doing this kind of primary for an incumbent governor. You get my point?
Yeah.
So you see this rancorous, you see all the controversy. This was unnecessary. I expect the party to close ranks, just as the governor said, so that they can face the big challenge. The big challenge is,
and that's what we mean by being magnanimous in victory.
Yes.
But this is not the real deal. The real deal is still ahead.
Yes, I think July.
July 16, that was the election day. Many people thought, given the bad blood that characterized the campaigns leading to the primary election, that maybe there will be an upset or something. As you have seen, I said it on Friday that Ilesha, for example, will be a battleground, because some of the governors' best supporters are from there. And the person who stood up to say, look, Mr. Governor, we don't want you to come back, is also from there. So, so a point has to be made. And they were ready for it. A point has to be made. You can imagine in Ilesha East, where when Rauf Aregbesola comes from, there were some very strong supporters of the governor from there. And I'm not surprised that the governor won easily in the minister's ward. And it's the same pattern everywhere else. Where you go to Ikire and you find the finance minister is from there, Ayomidino is from there, and some other heavyweights. How do you defeat the governor in a place like that? Or you go to Ife to say you want to defeat the governor when Omishore is his supporter. He has not lost any election in Ife since 1999. And he remains strong. Not just that he has not won since 19, he has not lost. He remains a factor in the politics of Ife land. And everywhere the governor is going, you see Omisore sitting in front. He's sending a message that I'm behind this man. He is one of the reasons people are convinced that even the next governorship election in that state will still be won by this man, because the vote from Ife is usually significant. And in the past, the APC had struggled to do well in that area because of Omishore. Yes, even when Omishore contested for the governorship, the quantum of votes from that area was significant. Now that, for a rival party, now that is in the APC, of course, you can predict that the votes from Ife are already locked down, except something unheard of happens. It's just like thinking of defeating the late Akala in Ogbomosho land. It's unheard of. Until he died, he was by far the biggest politician from there and undefeatable.
So yes, the only person bigger than Alawakala in Ogbomosho was Ladoke Akintola. By history. Yes, by history. Akala was a colossus in that part of the state for a very long time. May God rest his soul. From local government chairman to everything. But now coming back to Osun, some of the analysis Jide was doing, Osun is a very complex, state in terms of politics. And what the other parties may bring, we don't know. And who their candidates, deputy and whatever will be, we don't know.
So it also depends on who candidates from the other parties will feel.
Yes, it is. In election, our own thing, son of the soil, daughter of the soil, we do it a lot in our politics. You get my point? For example, he was talking about Ife. If per chance maybe the other party picks their candidate from there, that will alter a lot of things. You get my point? Or one of the candidates, that will be two, running mate and the candidate. So, but for now, I'm happy with the attitude of the governor. There's no need to blow. We need for all these aggrieved people. Believe me, I don't know of any crisis that cannot be resolved. I don't know of any human being that cannot be managed.
They are all man-made.
They need, because today they may be fighting, tomorrow they may see reason to come together. We have seen a lot in that state. When Aregbesola was fighting Oyetola in that state, many people would never believe that they would see eye to eye. But Aregbesola won eventually. Second time, it was almost difficult for Aregbesola to win second time. They had to reach out to the same Oyetola they fought for for many years. And Oyetola was extremely helpful during the second time. Everybody was shocked that your number one political enemy in the state. So it goes on. Okay, look at Omishore that Jide was talking about. Omishore was not in the camp of, Asiwaju, Oyetola and Co. But today, he was in the fold. You get my point? I don't believe they can't, mend defenses. No, they can still, because the APC needs a united, front. Don't let anybody deceive you. The PDP is still strong in Osun. Don't accept if anybody wants to be, the PDP still remains very strong in Osun. So you need a united front to be able to face whoever emerges from any party. You get my point? You can use your achievement to sell, but despite all that, you need the entire family, the entire fold to be able to confront the enemy. The political enemy, I mean, not real enemy.
But there are some enemies or some people refuse to be reconciled. You see, we've given the examples of people in northern Nigeria, for example, who would never agree to be on the same party. Once one enters a party, the other leaves. Kwankwaso and Shekarau, Atahiru Bafarawa and Magataka Dawamako, they can't be in the same party. That is a fact. In fact, you could predict that if this person goes to this party, this is what will happen. And it always happens. There are some people who have chosen not to forgive one another in politics. I don't know how they are going to resolve the conflict between Oyetola and Aregbesola. I think too that party leaders should have done a better job of managing both men before things got this bad. Because things have become so bad. No one is saying it's impossible. I know some moves are being made now, even to reach out to both transport.
I'm sure with an Asiwaju, you will see what will happen. Because
but there was a meeting in Baba Konde's home in Ilanogun where this man,
I understand,
Asiwaju was also there. Asiwaju was also there.
Before that one, there were meetings, but now you will see that a lot can still be achieved because the time is still there. And as at yesterday night, a lot of big, powerful Nigerians, are getting involved. And no matter how big you are, you still have one or two people that you respect, that you will not be able to say no to. Such people have not been involved. Now they are getting involved. I'm 100% sure. Believe me, let's be honest. The two of them are losers in this. If they're fighting, don't let anybody win anybody's. No, the two, they are better together. If anybody is saying this, you win today. There is life after government. Aregbesola is experiencing now. This man will also finish 8 years by God's grace, and he will also live. They will realize that tomorrow there's another reason for them to come in. So why must you do self-assured? I mean, mutual destruction. It doesn't work. They've gone to a point in life that you can disagree, but you must not fight dirty. I know they don't need to fight.
But it is when people fight dirty that it becomes difficult to resolve.
Yeah, and begs the question of why are you in politics if not to better the lot of the people who look up to you?
A lot of our politicians are not in politics to better the lot of. They are in politics for themselves. They are in politics for themselves, and they know what they are doing. And for some people, they are driven almost to the point of perdition by their ego. Their ego drives them to the point that even when they see a moving train,
they go against it.
They keep going, like a bull goes after the matador. So, but in politics, there has to be flexibility. People must stay humble because there's always room for misunderstandings to be resolved. We see people move from APC to PDP sometimes because of disagreement. Oyetola, for example, that opted to work for the APC then, it was because he was mistreated in the PDP. So sometimes when you mistreat someone, He then says, okay, let me see. Okay, you treated me badly. Okay, I'm going to work for the enemy to make it pay you more. So this is what they do to themselves in politics. But we have appealed, even before now in this program, we said they should try to resolve this issue. It's better for them to resolve the issue. But you know, politicians, sometimes I've had the politicians say, look, nobody can tell me that I have to make this concession to this person. But when you are in negotiation and you are rigid about it, you are not going to go far. So on both sides, it's just similar to what's going on in Kano. Ganduje has claimed Shekarau's scalp now, based on the last judgment in court. But they've got to find a way to work together.
Yeah.
They've got to find a way to work together so that the party remains strong in the state. If they fail to work together, the PDP will, in fact, will be praying that their crisis should remain, so that they can eventually So this is the thing. I want to see Ogbeni Rauf return and his supporters and the supporters of the governor come together once again and work for the party that gave them fame and name. This is what we want to see. Because even the violence that we've experienced some months back is all because of the disagreement between both parties. And their supporters are always watching them. Where you and I choose to work together and see ourselves as friends is a direct message to our supporters to behave themselves as well. But if we are attacking ourselves using fighting words against one another, we are telling our supporters that, look, be hostile towards one another. I mean, politics is supposed to be much better than that.
We are joined this Sunday by Sunday. He's calling from Ewekoro. Sunday, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Mr. Babajide, because this issue of politics, it's like there are some things that people are doing for selfish interest. How come Bonu was able to manage themselves? I saw Shetima just of recent moving with Baba Zulu. How come are they managing it that other states cannot do it? Look at what is happening in Ogun State. Look at how things went. So I want to ask, how are they managing all those things there that we cannot manage here?
It's a simple question to answer. Both men are my friends. I can tell you that Senator Shetima deliberately makes effort to not share the limelight with the governor. Senator Shetima today is still the biggest politician in Borno State. I can tell you, he's the biggest politician in Borno State, very influential. But when he's coming into the state, he does it on a low-key level so that you don't see a large crowd following him and all that. And when he's addressing people, he will say, my governor, my leader. That is a person that he installed as governor. He calls him his leader. That's what he calls him. Humility. So that humility is there. He is doing his best to not ruffle feathers. There was a time when he said, look, Zulum is better than me. No matter how good I was as a governor, Governor Zulum is better than me by far. He says that publicly. People see him say that. They see that he's doing his best to manage his governor very well, because power is intoxicating. There's a former governor of Lagos who said something. I won't mention that governor. The former governor. He said, for you to know how intoxicating power can be, give your own son power. We've seen children topple their parents now. Even the Arab world, parents, a boy chased away his father and installed himself as president. So you have to be able to manage people. When somebody has become governor, even if you are the one who put him there, Give him some space.
Give
him some space.
Power will be nothing without control.
Yeah, give him some space. The moment you appear like you want to take his decisions for him, this is where fight usually starts.
Yeah.
He may not fight you the first time. If he gets the second time, you are in trouble. That is what Ochendo Global, former governor of Abia State, did to Ojus Okalu and his mom. They were controlling him the whole of first time. I said what he wanted to do was in his belly. Immediately he got the second time. He turned against a man who campaigned for him when he was in prison. Okay. And one election, he turned against him. So people must learn from these things. Once you allow that person to, just give that person space. But he will respect you, and both of you will continue to work together. But once you want to continue to take the decision, or they are seeing you are moving around with siren, you come into the state, you are still behaving like the sitting governor, you people are going to quarrel. This is what Kashim Shettima refuses to do.
Yeah. And you see, individual differences, sometimes the issues are also different. Look at the case of Gombe. The governor and the senator, they don't say eye to eye now. The former governor and
he was his commissioner.
So
no, it's just power. Struggle for power.
From state to state, the issues are not the same.
But if you need to manage people very well.
You
need to manage
without control. Power is extremely intoxicating. Sometimes it is the man that has just left office, the predecessor, that is the problem. Sometimes it's the successor that is the problem.
Yes.
So the issues are not the same, and the stories are different.
Sometimes both of them.
But sometimes both, yes.
Yeah.
And when two adults fight, I always say both of them are wrong. No, the moment two adults fight dirty, the two of them are wrong.
But how many people are using the Kashim Shettima trick?
Not
many people.
Wisdom is not.
And the guy knows,
he
knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Power and wisdom, two different things.
Yes. There are people who have power, but they don't have wisdom. So they won't manage the power very well.
Bejide, who will not want to have a successor like Professor Zulu? The achievement is even making the senator, that is the former governor, is making him even proud.
He did not listen to me. He did not begin to achieve from the first day in office. I'm telling you, during his 100 days in office, I was there. I'm telling you that he had been managing him like that from the first day. He didn't wait for him to start recording successes.
Yeah.
He made up his mind that this person, of course, he was his commissioner for RRR. He knew he could do it, given all that he did as commissioner, But sometimes what is in our heart, we don't know. The other person does not know.
The governor, a professor, he can be inundated or inebriated, be
by
drunk
power.
on power.
Yes. You're right.
But he decides
it's been properly managed.
That's it.
This has been properly managed.
That's it.
And both of them have regard for one another.
Yeah.
So we need to manage people properly. There are some people that you will be able to manage, but I will not be able to manage because the patience you have, I don't have.
Okay. For Governor Oyetola, the battle is not over yet. It is not yet Uhuru. Wish you well, and we can only hope that all the backbenchers and querulous people would listen to good advice. All right, we'll take a breather here and come back. Please, this is still Journalist Hangout on a Sunday on TVC News Nigeria. Please stay with us. A poor approach to data gathering means we rely on external bodies to get information on critical aspects of our socio-political and economic performance. The African Union, or AU, through the African Peer Review Mechanism, said the federal government had made tremendous progress in the areas of infrastructure development, agriculture, revolution, humanitarian services, and the fight against corruption, despite insecurity ravaging the country. Now, the secretary of the agency, Gloria Akobundu, who stated this in Abuja after announcing conclusion of Nigeria's second peer review, said the feat was highly commended by the forums of heads of state and government at the 31st ordinary session of the OAU, or AU rather, on February 4th. Yusuf, AU, here we are again. And look at the AU, look at other regional bodies like the EU. And you are saying in 2022, the AU is still a paper tiger, right? Wrong.
Paper tiger. When there is need, sometimes, but they're paper tiger. But sometimes the paper tiger can be useful.
Okay.
But coming back to the issue under discussion, even without AU reports, the average, Nigerian knows that we have made some progress in infrastructural development.
Yeah.
You may criticize President Muhammadu Buhari on a lot of issues, but on some issues you cannot, because it will be extremely unfair.
Yeah.
Either you are blind or deliberately mischievous
to see.
Yes, it's either two. I mean, either of the two. You are blind, maybe, and we will excuse you since you cannot see. But if you are not blind, you may choose to be deliberately mischievous. What we are seeing in the area of railway, a lot is happening. You may say it's not enough. You may say we need to keep it up. I will agree with you. But let me tell you, a lot is happening. If you have been doing like this in the last 40, 50 years, we will certainly not be where we are today.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of road construction, Fashola is doing a good job in this government. Fashola is doing a good job in this. If you travel around, I'm not saying all our roads are good now, that's not my point. But you see a lot of ongoing ones and you see the ones, So, when you move from that, go to the airport, you will see what is happening. We are making a lot of progress. What they are talking about in terms of security, that one, is still a problem. But we are making some progress. And whether EU report acknowledges it or not, I am a living witness to say we are making progress in some areas.
The AU, it's not like a scorecard, but we are humans. We are humans. So it depends on what side of the divide you belong in. The AU, the peer report is here.
Yes,
How do we rationalize it?
Yeah, I think that it makes sense for the AU to do this kind of peer review so that the body itself that was set up by heads of government in 2003 can live up to the purpose of setting it up. Now, the first peer review was in 2008. So 13 years after, we are having another peer review. I would expect that the AU will do this a lot more so that African leaders can compare notes, see where they need to improve and all that. It's a good thing that we've been recognized for some of the efforts that we've made in the area of infrastructure, in the area of agri development, and even humanitarian work. I was quite happy to see that we were also, Nigeria was lauded for the work that we've done in the area of humanitarian support of our population. So one can only encourage the government to continue along this line. the Agric revolution that started during the Jonathan regime with Akinwumi, the Minister of Agric, causing the setting up of many integrated rice farms. We can see the progress that, the rapid progress that the Buhari regime has made in that area. We now have so many integrated rice farms, you know, across the country, especially in northern Nigeria, Kebbi, and the rest of them. Sometimes when you even see, you go to a supermarket to buy rice, you won't know which one is actually Nigerian rice, because in terms of the packaging, they are also approaching the level of foreign rice in terms of the packaging. I'm not talking about the taste. I was in Taraba in a local government called Bali, and in Bali local government, I saw even local rice millers. They already had the equipment to remove stone from the rice. You would never imagine that they had such equipment. So the equipment will remove the stones completely. When I got back to Lagos and I cooked the rice, I saw that there was no stone inside. And it was from a local rice milling outfit.
Yeah. And our rice is much more nutritious.
Of course, because those ones have been stored for years. You know, they even use those ones at their rice, at their feed mills. Some of the rice they sell to us here, they don't eat. They use them at their feed mills. But here we are, anything that is foreign is good.
Is hip.
Well, we think that
is hip. Yeah. All right, we'll go take you to Abuja in a manner of speaking. There, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Communication, Ajuri Ngelale, will join us. So he's at our Abuja studios. We want to say thank you. How do you do?
Ajuri.
Good afternoon to you, gentlemen. Always a privilege to be with you.
It's a bright Sunday and you are looking really bright, my brother.
Yeah, the peer review.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the peer review report is here, and how do you react to it?
Well, I think my reactions are very much in line with, most Nigerians who would naturally be happy if your peers around the continent are evaluating you highly on the basis of what they're seeing in real time. First and foremost, let's kind of take it sector by sector. You know, they acknowledged quite a lot going on across the multiple sectors. In agriculture, I know my brother Babajide mentioned a little bit about the agricultural sector. Though I would say that when you look at the agricultural development, in as much as it's true that Dr. Akinwumi Adesina had introduced several fantastic reform measures, we also recall, I certainly reported on that sector at that time, you had a lot of intrigues inside of the government and the bureaucracy limiting his ability to actually implement it. So for example, when they wanted to do the scheme with the cell phones, providing loans and seedlings, etc., through the provision of these cell phones, etc., you had a situation where that program, though very well intended and well envisaged, was of course poorly implemented. So we didn't get to see the kind of impact in real terms that we wanted to see within that administration. I think when we came into office, we were the largest importer of rice in Africa. Today, we are the largest producer of rice in Africa. And that had to do with the fact that this administration, under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, put in place the Anchor Borrowers Program beginning in 2016, which from 2016 to date, over the last five years plus, has seen the provision of low-interest capital to over 4.5 million Nigerian smallholder farmers. And obviously this is happening over the course of most states of the Federation over the course of the last 5 years. That is tens of thousands of hectares of land that has been cultivated as a result of that, and that's moved us aggressively in the direction of self-sufficiency across multiple value chains, not just rice, but also in other value chains such as rice, maize, wheat, even fish farming, sugar production, etc., etc. So it's really going across the board. And what we're also seeing is, in addition to the Anchor Borrowers Program, this administration said, look, you can't just give facilities to people, you can't just give money to people or seeds to people, which we're doing both of. If people don't have access to abundant fertilizer at cheap rates, then they're not going to be able to cultivate anyway. So you have to deal with the fertilizer problem that we've had for decades. You would recall that before this administration, fertilizer provision in the country was essentially an intra-government racket, where only a few people had access to large volumes of fertilizer in the country, and many of them would smuggle it abroad, making huge profits by receiving government subsidies. What the president has done in the last 4 or 5 years is to aggressively revive tens of fertilizer blending plants across the nation to ensure that we can stabilize the supply and provision of fertilizer in the country. And then, of course, we have private sector initiatives that have come online. Several companies coming in now to build fertilizer production plants with the incentives that have been provided by President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. Tax exemptions, foreign exchange remittance exemptions, allowing them to bring certain locally inaccessible products, spare parts for their factories into the country, exempt from certain tariffs, etc. These are the things that have led us to the point that we are now at. And that's just agriculture. If you look at what we've done, and I know my brother made reference to this, in the construction sector across subsectors, transportation, works, etc. Obviously, it's absolutely true that our people have witnessed as essentially 4 new international airports have come up almost from scratch. I think it was only Abuja, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, that had made some significant progress under the previous administration to the tune of about 40%. We completed that. But then we took Port Harcourt International Airport, the worst rated airport in the world, was essentially a block of concrete slab on the ground when we inherited it in 2015, 2016, took that to completion by the end of 2018. We are now getting ready to unveil the new Aminu Kano International Airport in Kano. We're getting ready to unveil the new Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. And then in 2023, we will be unveiling the new Akano Ibiam International Airport Terminal in Enugu, just after finishing a world-class international standard runway at Akano Ibiam International Airport in Enugu, done over the course of the last 9 months. So that's that. Then, of course, if you look at the railways, what have we done? We inherited about 80% of one railway. That was the Abuja-Kaduna Railway. Over the course of the last 12 years preceding this administration, they were able to do 80% of that. We completed it. It was done in 2016. We then embarked on the new Lagos-Ibadan high-speed rail line, a similar length, but with many more stations and more complexity, because we're now moving it into Apapa Port and into Tin Can Port as well. That has now, we started 2017. As of 2020, our people were already experiencing free rides on that rail line. I was just there last week, and of course it's being well patronized by Nigerians from across the country. So we did that in 3 years as against 12 years, right? So that's one. Then in 2020, what did we do? President Muhammadu Buhari launched the Central Rail Line, the 326-kilometer standard gauge Wari-Itakpe-Ajeokuta rail line that had been abandoned since 1987. 1987, how many years? Almost 33 years at that point, had been abandoned by successive civilian and military administrations, something that would have been of good use to our people. President Muhammadu Buhari in 2020, after investing massively in it, finished it. So we now have that on ground. Now we have moved to the Kaduna-Kano segment of the Lagos to Kano rail line, where construction is going on very well over the course of the last 3 months, and we're very much expectant by the time we get to 2023 that we would have completed a significant portion of that particular rail line before handing over to the next administration. And then, of course, if we get into roads, Babajide knows very well, if I begin to talk about roads, I will need 3 hours, because there are so many road projects, bridge projects across this country. Obviously, the mega ones are the ones everyone talks about. This year in 2022, we're launching the the over 336 billion naira second Niger bridge started by this administration, will be completed by this administration. The over 200 billion naira Lagos-Ibadan expressway will be completed by September this year for people to use. Our people in that axis know very well the state of that road over the last 40 years and what it is today. It will be completed in the fourth quarter, end of third quarter of this year. And then, of course, the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano expressway is another major one. The 200 billion naira Boni-Bodo road is another major one in River State, linking NLNG on Bonny Island to the mainland of the country for the first time in history. And then in the middle belt, you have the nearly 100 billion naira local Oweto bridge, which is going to link Benue and Nasarawa, but by extension is going to link the southeast. It's going to link Igbo land with the north central, the northeast, and the northwest. Cutting about 5 hours off of journey time from the southeast to Abuja, for example, just with the provision of that one bridge. There is so much going on in terms of infrastructure. So it's not a surprise to us at all that given the lean resources available to this country, what President Muhammadu Buhari has been able to cook, a 5-course meal with his hands tied behind his back, it's not a surprise to us that the African Union is recognizing those achievements, even as we are very realistic about the fact that we still have many challenges that are yet to be conquered. Insecurity is one of them. Yes, are we making progress? Absolutely. People don't really talk about the fact that in 2021, 2 of the major threats to this country, to the federation, were removed from the battlefield. You had Abubakar Shekau, who has been mocking successive presidents, maiming and killing innocent civilians across the north, and all of that. We have now taken him off the battlefield. Bombings in Abuja and all of that. He's now gone. Abu Musab al-Banawi, the former leader of ISWAP, right? Of course, he has now been taken off of the field as of 2021. These were the 2 major leaders in terms of the insurgent groups threatening our country, now off of the field all in 1 year under the leadership of the commander-in-chief. Yeah. So if we're talking about progress, I think people would have to be realistic about the fact that, yes, we made progress. But does that mean that we have time to be clapping for ourselves and dancing? Absolutely not. We still have a lot of work to do, but we are getting the job done.
Yeah.
You talked about, hold on. You talked about the second Niger bridge in passing. Can you give us a definitive date when, or a definitive month, when you are sure that that bridge will be delivered?
Yeah.
No, I can't hear anything.
Yeah, Mr. Ngelale, are we in business?
Can you hear us now?
Mr. Ngelale, are we in business?
I can't hear anything, though.
Can you hear me?
We are talking about the second Niger bridge.
Yes.
Now, can you give us a definitive month when you are sure that bridge will be delivered?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, my brother. So there are a few things on the second Niger bridge that our audience should know about. First of all, it's important to note that by March, we are going to have completed all of the road laying work on top of the pillars, meaning that you will literally be able to walk or drive across the entire section of the second Niger bridge, the actual bridge itself, by March. That is, of course, next month. We would have completed that. So by April 1, Nigerians can expect that the entire bridge would have been covered with the roadway on top. So that's number one. The second thing is you have to understand that the second Niger Bridge project is not merely just a bridge. Obviously, you have 2 3-lane roadways, right? Going in one direction, the other 3-lane roadway going in the other direction. An expansion on the original second Niger Bridge, which was 2 lanes each way, that caused a lot of choke. But because this administration had so well envisaged this particular project and really tried to future-proof it in the sense of being aware of the possibilities of tomorrow ahead of time, what we did was expanded it to 3 lanes on each side, so you have 6 lanes total. But then, noticing the choke on the first Niger Bridge, we said we're not going to have a situation where you have a 6 lane of bridge, but then when you get to the actual end of the bridge, you're now dealing with a bottleneck. So what we've done is to build two, 6-lane expressways on both sides of the bridge. So that's all part of the bridge project. You have 10.6 kilometers of 6-lane expressway on both sides of the bridge that are nearly completed, just as it's been built. It's been built simultaneously with the bridge itself. So that's number one. You have the 6-lane, 10-kilometer expressways on both sides of the bridge. Then you have the bridge being done in March. Then, secondly, you have what we call the Owerri interchange, right, where you're now going to be able to, facilitate the traffic flows coming from diverse parts of the southeast on that interchange. Obviously, a new tolling plaza as well. Now, to your question about when specifically we can expect this all to be completed, we have told our people that it will be completed this year, and what we have said is that by October we should be flagging this off of opening for full utilization by the Nigerian people, with every aspect of it fully completed, October 2022, and it could come even before then.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gelale. But quickly, let's talk about something that appears to be a little fly in the ointment: the fight on corruption. Did you get that?
Yes, you've asked me about the issue of corruption.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think there are a few things to unpack on the issue of corruption. I think the first thing I would say is, are we where we want to be? Have we solved conclusively the problem of corruption in the country, not just in the public sector, by the way, because usually we talk about it in the context of the public sector, but a lot of the corruption that has killed the country has actually come from the private sector, where we've been robbed of tens of billions of dollars in royalties and revenues due to the federal government of Nigeria that was taken away by international oil companies and many other companies that operate in the country. So corruption is a pervasive problem at the society level, at the government level, private sector level. Even our NGOs, ironically, are sometimes used for money laundering. We are not where we want to be. Now, if we say, have we made progress? I think anybody who is operating on the basis of empirical data would have to conclude that based on where we were in 2015, where when you walked physically into a federal ministry or department or agency, you could almost feel the naira, dollars, euros leaking out of those institutions. We've now come to a place where there's some level of fiscal sanity. Where, and I want to be very empirical about this, between 2009 and 2019, that's a 10-year period, the EFCC collected in naira, this is not including pounds, dollars, landed assets, and properties, just naira alone. Between 2009 and 2019, the EFCC collected about 1.28 trillion naira, 1.28 trillion naira in a 10-year period, 2009 to 2019. From 2009 to 2015, that is the first 6 years of that period, the EFCC collected less than 300 billion naira. From 2015 to 2019, the EFCC was able to recover 939 billion out of 1.2 trillion naira. Obviously, that is a near quadrupling of what the previous administration had done in 6 years, as against what President Muhammadu Buhari's administration had done in 4 years. So we have made a lot of progress. I think Nigerians had seen several defense chiefs, many people from our armed forces, former ministers, former governors, even those who are APC members, currently in prison under this administration, having been convicted and sent to prison under this administration, sitting APC senators, for example. So a lot has gone on. What we are now saying is that the work is not yet finished. We have more work to do, but certainly compared to the previous 16 years in the corruption war, I think Nigerians would be fair to us in acknowledging that there's progress, even if there's some level of dissatisfaction that we have not yet reached the point that we all want to get to.
All right, we wish you Godspeed, and let me confess, I'm enamored of your commentary. Tells me you know your job. Thank you very kindly for joining us.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
That's it. We just had the Senior Special Assistant to Mr. President on Public Communication, Ajuri Ngelale. All right, then, let's move to our next interview, our next story. Amidst calls for scrapping of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, the scheme is being repositioned to make it relevant to the modern age. One of the innovations being introduced to the NYSC is the trust fund. Core members and officials are urging the National Assembly to expedite action on the passage of the NYSC Trust Fund at the passing out parade of the 2021 Batch A Stream 1 NYSC members at the Permanent Orientation Camp Oyetola in Lagos. They stressed that the trust fund is capable of addressing unemployment among youths. TVC News' Nelson Etta has a story. Let's listen to this.
One of the innovations being introduced to the National Youth Service Corps NYSC is the Trust Fund. A bill for an act to establish a National Youth Service Trust Fund NYSCTF has passed second reading in the House of Representatives. The bill, when passed into law, is to provide sustainable source of funding for corps members, skill acquisition, training and empowerment to establish a self-sustained business after the mandatory 1 year of service. To ensure that corps members are effectively prepared and empowered to stand on their own after their service year, the NYSC flagged off a Skills Acquisition and Entrepreneurship Development Program, SAID, in 2012. The aim of the program is to train members on multiple streams of wealth creation like fashion designing, ICT, shoe making, agriculture, fish farming, hair making, automobile, just to mention but a few.
Last year, December, I was nominated as one of the top winner of Unity Bank Entrepreneurship Fund. They gave us startup capital to enable to start up something here in Ogun State.
I have the opportunity to be one of the, under the program JEF, Graduate Entrepreneurship Fund, where NYSC with BOI fund young corps members who actually want to become an entrepreneur. And today, after 1.5 years of disbursement, I own my fashion house where I make not just craft, not just fashion designing, but a whole lot of things. And now this place is an industry.
The Enco Production Company, it started in 2016, July precisely. The company come into existence through the encouragement of NYSC program, collaborated with the Bank of Industry to empower youth who want to be self-reliant.
I'm a beneficiary of SAID from NYSC National Headquarters, Abuja, and also lucky to have gotten the Bank of Industry loan in 2017.
I was lucky enough to get BOI loan, that GF program, 2 million naira, and I'm not where I want to be though, but then I'm still satisfied with the level I am right now.
Having acquired our skills in agro-allied, we're given a startup fund without interest of 300,000. Now that may amaze you, but I started my agricultural enterprise with this little startup fund, which was quite a lot for me. Now I've been able to establish my farm. I'm an agro-entrepreneur and the CEO of 12 Gates Farm and Agro-Allied Services.
I'm a beneficiary of the program, the NYSC BOI GF Fund, and I was empowered with 1.9 million naira.
However, to increase the number of beneficiaries of both the training and financial empowerment, the NYSC is requesting the federal government to establish a trust fund that will sustain the vision of the program. At the passing out parade of 2021 Batch A, Stream 1 National Youth Service Corps members at the NYSC Orientation Camp Oyetola, Agege, Lagos. The Lagos State Coordinator of NYSC, Mr. Adegboyega, spoke on why it became imperative for the scheme to be created and how corps members will assess the funds when the bill is finally passed into law.
In the next 3-4 years, it's projected that we'll be having close to 500,000 prospective corps members coming into National Youth Service Corps. Where are the funds? Now don't forget that NYSC is being run by federal government, state government, and local government. It's standing on 3 points. Okay? Now, we are now saying, now you have watched all of them pass out today. 99.9% of them, no job. There's nowhere, they don't know where their next meal is going to come from. They've been living on this 33,000 naira every month. And from today, it has stopped. Now, with this trust fund, we can better their lot by giving them startup capital, even as they are leaving the National Youth Service Corps. Now, with the capital given to them, they will be able to employ labor, they will be able to create wealth, they will be able to increase the GDP of the country. There are not going to be any bottleneck. Once the thing is there, and we know that these are bona fide corps members or corps members that have served meritoriously their fatherland. Look, we don't pay them salary. What we pay them is allowance. The sacrifices they go through, you will not believe. I'm sure you served, and you know what you went through. There is no amount of money you pay these young ones that will equate to the services they render to the Nigerian, society. Okay, and so when the fund is there, we are going to match it with the corps members to make sure we'll give them, a lease of hope in life for them to access and start up their own business.
The representative of the state governor and permanent secretary in the Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, Seso Ogundeko, commended the corps members for their dedicated service, which has impacted positively on the state, and admonished them to face their future with hope.
On behalf of the government and the good people of Lagos State, I wish to thank you all for your dedicated service and contributions to the development of our state and improvement in the lives of the citizens of the Center of Excellence through the several projects that you have executed, especially in the rural communities. I commend you all for the diligence and hard work displayed in ensuring you leave behind worthy legacies that will fast-track the development of your place of primary assignment and communities. I admonish you to proceed and face the future in the confidence and hope for a better and glorious future.
Some of the passing out corps members who spoke with me expressed their expectations for the scheme when finally in full operation.
I think for me, if this thing is put into place, the NYSC Trust Fund, it will help our infrastructural facilities. Now, from my research, like 30 years ago, the way the building is still the way it is right now. Dilapidated building, where there are truths that can be verified. Now let's go down to the camp secretariat at Surulere. It's still the same way that the building is. That is still the way it is up to now. If you go to the local government, the same thing. It is overcrowded. Gone were those days that we have like 2,000 corps members. But now the capacity is expanding, and we need this NYSC Trust Fund to actually see that we put all these infrastructures into place. And for me, we appreciate the federal government so far for what they have been doing, but we need them to do more and bring the corporate entities together also, so that we can be able to adapt and see to all these infrastructural buildings and see that it will aid our welfare. For me, I say a yes and a very big yes to NYSC Trust Fund.
We have the mentality that says, NYSC, now your suffering continues. That shouldn't be the mentality of the youth. We should know that, okay, it is now your startup company starts. Because if the trust fund is there, we'll be able to equip ourselves, and the scheme would have equipped us during the 1 year of our service. So for me, the trust fund will help us curb our crime rates. Imagine doctors, nurses working with the bandits. That shouldn't be it. That shouldn't even be happening to graduate, because we need to increase the country's GDP. That should be what should be in at the high rate, not the crime rate. So for me, I would say yes to NYSC Trust Fund, and I'm hoping and I'm going to stand with it that we have the NYSC Trust Fund come in place.
For the side is when you learn things, like you learn trade. So I did beautification, where we do crafting. This crafting, you can craft and beautify things with flowers or anything, so at least I gain knowledge from there, and also bead making as well. Yeah, I can actually do things with bead.
The Coalition of Unemployed Graduates in Nigeria, CUGN, has applauded the bill, noting that it has the potential to generate 1 million jobs annually if and when passed into law. According to the Lagos State Coordinator of NYSC, the scheme will not only create jobs but also curb crimes.
Look at China. Do you know that every hamlet in household in China produces one thing or the other? We need to encourage these children. And when we do it, we are going to stem down banditry, armed robbery. Because if they don't have anything to lay hand on, they will have temptation to put their hands in negative things.
At the end of the day, the hope of the coalition of unemployed graduates in Nigeria, as well as serving corps members, is that this bill will become a reality and that transparency will be the measuring stick for selecting its beneficiaries.
Many thanks, Nelson Eta. Jide, the last time an honorable member of the House, from River State, talked about dismantling the NYSC, it raised a lot of uproar, I'm wondering if he was not a copper at a time, but then that this new thing coming to the 49-year-old service is a plus, if you ask me.
It's a massive one, and God bless the heart and the brain that thought out this idea, because look, this is a game changer. The way I see it, it's a game changer. Our country has a youth budge. The youth budge can either be a strength or even a time bomb.
Yeah.
We have a choice.
Depending on how you deploy it.
Yes, depending on how you use it. Is a massive advantage for us that we have this youth budge. And thankfully too, today's young people, they are very creative. If you give them the opportunity, they will make the most of it. So why not do your best for them, create the enabling environment for them to fester, for them to
keep them busy,
to grow without needing to come to you. Now, if you train these guys, you put them through all kinds of training, skill acquisition, drive within the NYSC camp. The NYSC has invested in skill acquisition modules for the youth corps members, but the big problem is usually, okay, when they leave the camp, what happens thereafter? The funding that is needed to set up a business of your own is usually not there. Those who have had the opportunity amongst these young people to start their own business, we've seen testimonies, so a lot of them are now employers of labor. That is what we want to see, not for people to simply be looking for white-collar jobs all over the place.
Yeah.
The reality is that the white-collar jobs are not there. You are going to wait in some cases for up to 10 years, you won't find a job. You can see we have people who will be very good at music making, for example. Some of them beats making. Some of them could even be farmers.
Yes.
Farmers. Some are into reinforcement making, iron rod, all of this still works. Still works.
Yeah, dressing, everything.
Yes. So if you can provide the funding for them to start
a little something.
Yes, skills of their own.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely, these guys will go places. So
keep
that
them
is why,
busy.
that is, yes, instead of a lot of them could actually take to criminality if the opportunity is not there, So provide the funding. This is what this bill seeks to achieve. That little fund that they need to start something of their own, at least, will be available.
Yusuf, great ideas had always been there, but whenever the ideas come, making them work to advantage would be the problem. Great ideas. The NYSC was thought of by the late Adedeji, 49 years after, it is relevant. We say it is relevant to our situation.
It is even more relevant to Nigeria now than even when it was created.
Yes.
Yeah.
And God bless the current leadership of the NYSC. The ideas that they are implementing now are even making NYSC more relevant.
Revolutionary.
Because what I'm saying here, you see, some beautiful minds conceived the idea of TED fund. And if many Nigerians don't know, the public education at the tertiary level has not collapsed in Nigeria because of TED fund. And some people brought up that beautiful idea. Majority of beautiful things you see around federal and state campuses of
the structures.
It's through TED fund. Now, some people have gone further. Now they realize that you can also design a creative means of funding, because what they're trying to do here is, the government gives out a lot of contracts. That 3% of every contract, if it's plowed into the scheme,
yeah.
The NYSC has started a revolution which is giving these brilliant young Nigerians, giving them skills, training them in virtually everything you can do. Now, when you exit the system, what do you become? A destitute? A what? No, they know. You can actually use these skills to make life, great for yourself. And do you know many of them, through the Bank of Industry, some of them and many of them have become entrepreneurs. Apart from fending for themselves, employment. Now, with a more solid structure in place, this can only get better. I believe this era of having to give 20 people stipend will no longer happen, because you just realize that young Nigerians are entrepreneurs, and with education there is nothing. If you don't think they will become the usual I'm talking about hairdressers. If you see a graduate going into hairdressing, he or she will do it in a way that you will marvel.
Yeah.
You get my point? Not one shop thing that many of our people do. So if you see a graduate going into farming, it can't be subsistence farming that we all know. Something that we have value chains, benefit for himself and for the country. So I'm really ecstatic about this. If I have my way, I was telling Jide, the current leadership of NYSC, if this bill is eventually passed and the president signs, I want him to be the one to start the implementation.
Okay, the current DG of
if you are able to do an NYSC that many people believe is just to collect money, and turn it to something more beautiful, with
it's
a law,
is even generating revenue now.
So now with this idea, if it is passed and the president signs it, you won't believe the massive revolution that will happen.
Yeah.
Because it will not just give employment, it will solve problems of criminality. The other day we were talking about crimes like these people killing, ritual killings, and all many of these things we just fizzle out.
Yeah.
Because idle hands will reduce.
Yeah. Okay then, Judy, I hear we have to pack it all in. We have about 3 more minutes to go. So the NYSC, we wish it Godspeed, because there's nothing like an old idea whose time has come.
Yes.
So
the time for this NYSC Trust Bill has come. We can't wait to have it passed into law by the National Assembly, and we can't wait for the president to
sign it.
His assent. Because this is a game changer for a lot of these young people. Look, if they have this opportunity, honestly, the sky is the target for our country.
You're wondering if former youth corps members will be eligible for?
No. It is the
current.
It's not. That's why it is not a youth trust fund.
Okay.
NYSC, which means when you go to serve your country,
those that have
they have said that when you leave service, when you finish service, you need a job. So this is what will prepare you for life after youth service.
Hands-on thing.
Yes, it will prepare you for life after youth service.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to rely on white collar jobs. And
they
all
use
that.
the service here for training and skill acquisition. And as you exit, you are mobilized. You even start before you exit the system.
Okay then. Well, let's draw the program to a close here, and not before thanking you for being there.